Yes, folks, birds of a feather flock together, and none more so than Jacinda Ardern and Helen Clark. They are both feminists, they are both UN puppets, and they both have soy boy partners. Anyway, today I'm going to show you a propaganda video about Jacinda Ardern, which actually includes Helen Clark as well. Now, as you watch it, you may notice that it has been tweaked a bit.
As a girl, I never ever grew up believing that my gender would stand in the way of me achieving whatever I wanted in life. I am, after all, not the first, but the third female Prime Minister of New Zealand.
It seems to be the way your government runs. You tell us something's happening until it's proven it's not happening, then you appoint somebody else to fix what wasn't happening in the first place. Happened with the PPE, happened with the testing in quarantine.
I do not accept that, and I will bring you back to this point, Mike.
But you can't not accept it. It's true. It's a fact.
Mike, we have had over 20,000 people go through quarantine. We have not one case of an individual from quarantine who has passed on COVID to anyone else.
You don't know that.
Outside.
You don't know that because they left the hotels untested.
Mike, yes, we do.
You don't.
Yes, we do.
You don't.
Yes, we do.
You do not. They left the hotels untested.
Mike, 20,000 people have come through. We've continued to have rigorous testing across the
country. Tell me how many people left the hotel untested. You can't.
Mike,
you've already said you can't. Therefore, you can't tell me that they haven't left the hotel untested. Therefore, you don't know.
Yes, we can know because
how do you know?
Because we've had community testing all the way through this as well, Mike.
That doesn't mean anything. If you only test, community testing only tests the people you test. It doesn't test the people you don't test.
Just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here, but if you see things moving behind me, we're fine, Ryan. I'm not under any hanging lights. I look like I'm in a structurally sound place. My mum making me put together my CV, which is when you're 14 consists of, best flan at the cooking competition and basically certificates for showing up to school. But we walked up and down the main street and I would go into shops asking them if they had any after-school jobs. Gender never came into it for me, and that was because of you. Yep. I have no doubt.
Yes. There will be a new generation of girls and young women saying, hey, just...
Now, folks, this article is about Helen Clark's fake husband, Peter Davis. Man who released Davis images says election spending the reason. The man who gave a magazine images of Prime Minister Helen Clark's husband and being embraced by a man on election night says his main motivation was the election spending issue. But Chuck Bird said today that he also wanted to stop Labor from blackmailing political parties. Now, I know Chuck Bird personally, and I've known him for quite a while, and he's a straight-up guy, so this is for real, folks. My main message to Miss Clark, is to pay back the money, he said, referring to the $446,000 of taxpayer funds it spent on its election pledge card. Mr. Bird passed on the images to Investigative Magazine, saying he had got them from a contact. They show Mr. Clark, Miss Clark's husband, Peter Davis, being hugged and apparently kissed by a man identified by the Sunday Star Times last week as Auckland GP Ian Scott. Dr. Scott told the newspaper that while he was gay, Dr. Davis was not. I think that's a little bit questionable. Anyway, now I'll just show you an awkward moment when Clark's fake husband tries to kiss her. Tad awkward.
Jacinda did it. Yeah.
And filthy amongst ourselves. Our LGBT rights. We met together in Alicante in 2006. The world was a very different place, but in many ways it was very much the same. When we met together, there was a war raging between Lebanon and Israel that lasted for 34 days. As we met in Alicante, climate change continued to ravage our earth. And as we met in Alicante in 2006, the world continued to suffer in poverty. It continued to suffer in...
Here she comes now. She could not look happier.
When I started campaigning for civil unions sometime later, I decided that I couldn't sustain such competing value sets any longer, and I left the church. The true measure of leadership is the ability to confront the anxiety of the people of their time. That is the measure of a leader.
We had a choice to make, whether it was either with National or Labor, for a modified status quo or for change. In our negotiations, both National and Labor were presented with that opportunity, working together, cooperating together for New Zealand. That's why in the end we chose a coalition government of New Zealand First with the New Zealand Labor Party. Thank you.
I believe that this will be a government of change. It will be a government that we can be proud of. am not the first woman to multitask. I'm not the first woman to work and have a baby. I know these are special circumstances, but there'll be many women who will have done this well before I have. For little girls and boys, that actually there's a future where they can make choices about how they raise their family and what kind of career they have that are just based on what they want and what makes them happy.
How has that been having your daughter here?
It's a necessity. Look, I'm a breastfeeding mother, so I need to keep her alive. So she's with us for the course of this this trip, and I'm combining my role as a mum and also as a leader, and it is entirely possible to do both. If I could distill it down into one concept that we are pursuing in New Zealand, it is simple, and it is this: kindness. Today I'm announcing that New Zealand will ban all military-style semi-automatic weapons.
So this morning we have charged the entire senior hierarchy of this Mongols chapter and the majority of the patch members and other associates, and they are facing a raft of serious criminal offences. This morning 110 staff that involve National Organised Crime Group teams, Bay of Plenty resource, asset recovery teams, specialist search, armed offenders teams, our own police dogs and correction dogs were involved in executing a number of search warrants primarily across the Bay of Plenty district. In total, those charged or arrested today and appearing before the court will face at least 228 charges, which include participating in an organised crime group, money laundering, supplying both methamphetamine and cocaine, and a raft of offences related to unlawful possession of firearms and explosives. In total, during the course of this investigation, we have recovered firearms such as AK-47s, AR-15s, a number of shotguns and pistols.
We will also ban all assault rifles. He sought many things from his act of terror, but one was notoriety. And that is why you will never hear me mention his name. He is a terrorist. He is a criminal. He is an extremist. But he will, when I speak, be nameless. You'll be pleased to know that we do consider both the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny to be essential workers. Could use the casual attire. It can be a messy business putting toddlers to bed, so I'm not in my work clothes, so forgive me for that. does have to be a new normal. And that normal means that we will be breaking out of our bubbles. We will be around more people. But we can do that and get more activity going if we balance that with keeping our distance and keeping our social gatherings small.
Thousands turning up in Auckland and Wellington today for Black Lives Matter rallies. As Yvonne Pahana reports, it's young people very much driving the protest movement.
One man speaking for so many.
Humanity is important, and if one of us is down, we all have to stand up.
In Wellington, thousands gathered for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes, folks, the left-wing propaganda machine is absolutely disgusting. They paint Jacinda as some kind of goddess. I wonder if they'll actually make a statue of her, along with their other idol, Greta Thunberg.